Hello, everyone. So this is Shireen Bell, Associate Dean of Nursing Programs, and you are also going to hear from my partner, Sarah Mallow, Chairperson of the BScN program, and we're going to give you a small overview through this video of the program and course proposal that we have on behalf of the LPN to BScN transition program that we are providing on an email for your review. And what we need from you is the e-vote as part of the School of Health Sciences School Council. So we thought we would provide you with a couple of slides of a backgrounder to the transition program, and then from there I'll launch into the program proposal, giving you some highlights, and then Sarah's going to take over and give you highlights of the course proposal that's associated with it, and wrap it up from there. And then you can you will then go on to see the actual documents as attached to the email, and you will be asked to do a vote on this program. Okay, so here we go. So in terms of the program itself, it's called the LPN to BScN Transition Program. And a little bit of background before I launch into the program proposal. So this program came into being before I actually started, but it was based out of already some community consultations that happened and community feedback. And in fact, there was an LPN who started a petition, which ended up gaining 600 signatures in support of some kind of a bridging or transition program in central Alberta for LPNs who would like to go into the BScN program and obtain their RN designation. And so there was also student feedback from in-program students. There was a labor market demand analysis, and there was some literature review that was done all historically before I started that really spoke to the need for a program like this to exist in central Alberta. We also found out that Athabasca University was the only other post-secondary institution that had such a program. And but creating a program also meant that it was going to be a government level proposal through the papers document, which you aren't going to see through the e-council documents. That's a separate document, but it's an alignment with the two documents that you're going to see through us today, or today. Yeah. So we've already gone to Dean's Council with the government level proposal, and they've given us the okay to move into the final proposal, and as well as preparing the program and the course proposal and the CE sheets that we're going to show you. So that is that part. So I'm going to have to, I think, stop that screen share and then go into the program proposal screen share. So here we go. Okay, so some highlights, what you're going to see. If you haven't seen this before, this transition program in terms of credential, it's called a non-credential program. So this certificate that they get doesn't have anything around it that shows them that there's a difference in their designation, like a professional designation or a diploma or a degree through the transition program. So it is qualified as a non-credential program. We really want to aim for, and this is why we've gone actually fairly quickly in the creation of this, we're really aiming for spring 2022 to start the program itself. So when you look at the calendar entry, you're seeing that we're talking about the LPN, so someone who's already graduated and working, and giving them the ability to join us in this transition program in terms of a pathway that will allow them to enter into the year 3 of the BScN program. And from there, they'll go on to apply for block transfer to the U of A and complete the 4th year of the BScN program at the RDC site, and they will also then be eligible to write the NCLEX and get licensure upon successful completion of both of those. So the concentration of this transition program is the preparation to enter year 3 and 4 of the BScN program at Red Deer College. So in terms of program outcomes, you're going to see that we've developed program outcomes that really are in alignment with the focus around the registered nurse scope of practice. So as you go through them line by line, you'll see a lot of terminology around scope of practice of the registered nurse, because that is the focus of a transition program such as this, and what stands it out between the LPN practice. When we talk about admission requirements, you're going to see that we're looking at admission of students who have taken an accredited PN program in Alberta, and they also have an active practice license in Alberta with 4,000 hours of practice within the last 4 years, and a confirmation of that through an employer letter. The other piece that we wanted to also include was the CASPER situational judgment test. The CASPER test is one that's also included in our BScN admission requirements, and we felt like for block transfer into the University of Alberta program, it would showcase yet another existing requirement that we actually are going to require for our students up and coming in fall 2021. And then you'll recognize some of the standard technology requirements that we have in our nursing programs, in addition to the rest. So what, in terms of the program itself, what does that course layout look like? So here you can see the listing that there are 4 courses that will be constituting the transition program. So we're taking, when the curriculum team looked at this, the intent was to shake out between the LPN program and the first 2 years of the BScN program what was really needed to make that transition. And through that examination and that work, the team came up with the following 4 courses. And so you're seeing the INDS 205 course, the Nursing Research Statistics and Knowledge Management course, and then the Nursing Research course, we call it, which really truly is called the Evidence Informed Nursing Practice. And then the newest of the courses is called Nursing Transition. So that being said, the first 3 courses already exist at Red Deer College, and our nursing students take that. And then the 4th course, the Nursing Transition course, was the one the curriculum team created from scratch to acknowledge the rest of the RN scope of practice, RN inquiry level content and concepts that would bridge what might have been taking place in year 1 and 2 of the BScN program. And Sarah will go on with some more details on that. So then from the transition program, the graduation requirements were to have above a 2.0 GPA in order to say that they would successfully complete that program to be able to transfer into the year 3. Okay. And there's your program cost. And then when we go through the section, the highlights of the program rationale, we really wanted to be in Central Alberta and in Alberta, a really progressive pathway that spoke to increasing accessibility for LPNs who wanted to become an RN in their professional trajectory. So this is, like I said in the backgrounder, was a key reason why we created this, and based on the need that was communicated to us in the community. We are just reiterating the admission requirements, and then we are also talking about the design and method of delivery in the curriculum itself. And so we are hoping that, because we know that the LPN learners in this transition program are also looking for work continuation, we wanted to design one course per term until the third term, where we would have 2 courses. So they would start out with INDS 205 in the spring, then they would go into fall and take Nurse 304, which is the statistics course. But then in the third and final term, they would take both the nursing research 301 and the nurse transition course. And we were also suggesting that most of the work would be online, but there would be some blended as well. And so the blended that we anticipate happens mostly in the nurse transition course. And that is because we really want to have some lab hours there and some face-to-face contact. And again, Sarah will talk more to that. So we highlighted some of the distinct attributes. We see this course as being a shorter offering and trajectory than the Athabasca University complement. Athabasca has a 3.5-year full-time program or 7-year part-time. We would offer this at part-time over the course of 3 terms. And then the students would go into the BScN program for 2 full-time years. So three years in total, 2 years of full-time, 1 year part-time. So we thought that was quite a competitive offering of a program in the province. In terms of the learning outcomes and the consultations that we did, we had to speak to who we talked to, but also the sequence of how we came to produce these learning outcomes. And for us in our nursing programs, the faculty are actually already our content experts who are regulated, who have worked with accreditation processes. And so that is how come we fleshed out the rationale as we did. So what we have said was the initial consultation was with faculty who had this expertise, who have the industry knowledge and the accreditation knowledge to be the first people that we would consult. And then we went on to consult external bodies such as NEPAC, which is an extension of our RN regulatory body, as well as the University of Alberta, because the students would ultimately end up in the BScN program, which is a collaborative program with the University of Alberta. And then, of course, we still went on to check alignment with the entry-level competencies put out by the RN regulatory body, which we call CARNA for short. And we go on to use that document in the nurse transition course itself. So again, lots of support that we've declared in external support for this program, including Campus Alberta Central and the Rural Health Professionals Action Plan group, who know that there were substantial amounts of rural LPNs that were interested in this transition program, and they were quite excited to be supporters of this transition program in Central Alberta. Keanu College and Grand Prairie were also somewhat interested. They were happy that we were going on to flesh this out, but there's potential partnerships going forward with this transition program where they might actually either take it on or support the clinical and the placement of the students at their sites after the transition program. We feel that in terms of the transition program, it builds on existing capacity within School of Health Sciences, because we already have LPNs going through our PN program, and they are potentially our recruitment pool because they would know that we were running this program. We also see Central Alberta as our recruitment area because we are working in many of these communities, and people would just know by default. And we also have an existing BScN program. So in terms of seeking further accreditation approval for these programs, the pathways are very well laid out for us already. What else can I tell you about this section? Oh yes, and we were intending on enrolling 8 students into the transition program. And so that 8 students comes to us as a feasible number because of the way that we then go on to place students into clinical placements, and our student ratio that's been accredited for us in the BScN program is 8:1. And so it's an easier ask to work with a number of 8 going into this transition program, because our philosophy was that we would also want to guarantee if all 8 students were successful, we wanted to guarantee that they could enter year 3 of the program and gain placements as well. So that's where we went with coming up with a number that was most workable for us. And we also see this as a strength in terms of attrition of students. In year 1 and year 2, these transition program students could potentially help us build back some seat numbers due to the loss that we would have experienced in year 1, year 2. And so the pathway is once again restated going into year 3 of the Bachelor of Science Nursing program. And we've had to, in this next section, reiterate the admission criteria and the rationale for it. So you'll find that in here, and you'll see the rationale for the Casper test as well. And then all of the list of the consultations that have taken place, you'll see that. We also, at the program level proposal, had to speak to the impacts. And so you'll see the level of impacts divided up, and the first one, impact to the BScN program. And I just spoke to the attrition piece. And then the impacts to Red Deer College. We really do feel like we've heard a trend around micro-credential style programs. And this one being that short style program, it really does have that same style and appeal to the trend of micro-credentials. And with the economic downturn and even with pandemic conditions, we get a chance to really showcase how we are providing affordable yet quality programming, such as this transition program. And so that's kind of some of the highlights of impacts to the college. And then to the community, we talked about the fact that we are responding to community needs. We're also responding in a realistic way when we looked at the labor market demands, because both the LPN and the RN job market in Central Alberta is still it's moderate to high is what the terminology is. So we're not actually putting out more people than is needed in our communities. So those are kind of the highlights of the program proposal, and I'm going to stop sharing my screen, come back to here, and then I'm going to hand it over to Sarah to highlight the newest of the courses that we are including in the transition program.
Okay, great. So I am going to share my screen. Okay, hang on. All of a sudden that's not coming up. Sorry guys. Let's get
I've got it on mine too if you need me.
Okay, no, I think I've got it. Apparently I had to. There, I just want to show the CE sheet. Okay, Do you see the CE sheet up there now, Shireen?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
perfect.
Yes.
Okay, so I felt very privileged to work on the curriculum development team for this program, and the main focus for us was to develop this Nurse XXX course. So, you know, the team consisted of Casey from CTL and Lynn, chair of the PN program, and Lisa Rancier, a faculty member in the BScN program. So, like Shireen mentioned, this course is kind of a compilation of areas that we felt the LPNs required some maybe had some gaps and required some learning to support them in transitioning into fall year 3. So we really looked at what occurred in the practical nurse program and what we had in the first 2 years of the BScN program for nursing content, and we basically put it all together into this one course. So we are proposing here that this course has 2 seminar hours per week and 2 lab hours per week. Now, one thing we have talked a little bit about is potentially offering it in a different way, maybe to support those practicing LPNs. So we may have our seminars online or in a blended format. They might not even happen every week. They might be, you know, kind of chunked out together. And then the lab would also be the same. We might look at, you know, 3 more condensed lab days where they would come on campus and practice some skills, work in the simulation, but again, do it as a full day as opposed to a 2-hour weekly commitment, because that might be a bit more of a challenge if they have a job somewhere. So, but basically the hours, this is a 13-week course, so it would happen over the winter term. So basically 26 hours of seminar, 26 hours of lab total. It's a 3-credit course and no prerequisites, and the co-requisite would be Nurse 301. So again, like Shireen said, it's kind of building them. They take 1 course each semester throughout the program, and then their final term, they would take this course in combination with Nurse 301. And the goal there, again, is to support them in that transition to fall year 3, and fall year 3 of the BScN program is full-time studies. So we also felt like in that last term, it would be best to have 2 courses to again help them transition for maybe a heavier load than they had in the past to get ready for a full-time study. So in this course, we have 7 course outcomes. And like we've mentioned, the focus really is on helping these practicing LPNs understand the role of the registered nurse. So again, we know that they are quite knowledgeable about nursing and quite a lot of disease processes and things that are relevant to practice as an LPN. But the registered nurse practice standards, the code of ethics, the scope of practice, all those kinds of things are now different as a registered nurse. So we wanted to weave those documents in to help them build that foundation and prepare them for year 3. So ethics and nursing practice, again, is a major component of all nursing. So we would weave that in throughout the seminars and the labs. Safety, of course, is a big one. And then critical inquiries. So like we mentioned before, that transition into the RN scope of practice has a real emphasis on critical inquiry. So we wanted to use that terminology to help prepare them into fall year 3. Now, the focus on episodic and chronic health challenges came because that's the focus we have in the BScN program in 2nd year. So again, we wanted to align the learning of these students alongside so that when they enter fall year 3 of the BScN program, they had the knowledge that the 2nd year BScN students are also bringing forward. The course outcome number 5, we also, again, want to facilitate this transition for students. And so it was important for us to talk about a concept-based approach to learning, because that is our focus in the BScN program. That's our philosophy there. So for us, it was by using this concept-based approach in this course, the students would then have a basic understanding going into fall year 3, and they'd be at least familiar with the terminology and expectations of students in a concept-based program. And then, of course, safe, ethical, caring, accountable professional contact, all quite similar to what they'd be familiar with. And then nursing implications, again, for patho and pharm. So we see this as a bit of a review of some content that they would have covered in their PN program and potentially even as a practicing LPN, but bringing it through the lens of expectations of a second-year BScN student to, again, prepare them for fall year 3. So the course topics and concepts have really just been pulled from that second year BScN content. So again, just to align for that transition into year 3. And then the skills, again, quite similar to what you would see in many nursing courses: critical thinking, professionalism, communication. We see the student performance assessments as, potentially a bit of writing. A simulation is going to be a big component, reflection, and then potentially an exam. And our learning activities would be, because we're going to spend a good chunk of time in the lab and in the simulation, we will use a significant number of case studies or scenarios. We definitely want to incorporate the content from INDS 205, so we'd like to use an Indigenous client as one of the scenarios. We might also use some learning activities that we currently use in the BScN program to help prepare students for the NCLEX, which, like Shireen mentioned, is the exam that they write at the end of the 4 years to become a registered nurse. And then safe medication modules, potentially some discussion, readings, simulations, and even some blogs, depending if we do some online components. So the resources are, just like I mentioned before, just those documents that are for registered nurse practice to help these students get a basic foundation so that they can pull these documents forward into fall year 3. And blended is the delivery, like I mentioned. So I think that's it for me. I don't think I need to share the course proposal because this kind of highlighted it all, probably in a better way. Yeah.
That's great, Sarah. So you'll see the 2 proposals, the program and the course proposal, and the CE sheets, right, that are a part of the, and then I believe that we also have the budget piece, all the program costs as well in terms of the whole package of documents. Again, I just wanted to reiterate kind of just what Sarah was saying too, the numbers of people that were on the teams working to put all of this together. There's lists, and you'll see the consultation list for a lot of specific names. So we share our gratitude. We couldn't have done this. You're seeing our faces, but we couldn't have done this without all of those people. And you look at the steering committee, you look at all the consults that we've done, extremely instrumental in putting something together like this, especially at a very high speed. So thank you to everyone who has supported us and put this stuff together. And thank you all to the school council as well for reviewing the documents, for listening to us on this video, and then going forward with your votes. So all in all, we appreciate your time, and we're looking forward to hearing back from you through the votes. So please, please vote on this for us. Thank you.